Hello, welcome to Podcast First Play, episode 259. I am one of your hosts, Carl, and as always, I'm joined by a man who's livid. He had some Nickelback tickets on the passenger seat of his car, and someone smashed the window and left two more. Danny Bloody Dan.
Ho, ho, ho.
What'd you call me?
Your mum. See, it always works.
It's interchangeable with any sentence.
Just like your mum.
Hey-o!
See? Still works. Anyway, it's only 5 whole days before Jesus' birth, was it? It's his birth, not death, wasn't it? Yeah, that's Easter.
That is Resurrection's Easter.
Oh, yeah. When did he die? Like a week before that? It was like 3 days before that?
I think it's like a fortnight, wasn't it? Maybe a week. I don't know. I weren't there. It's probably a Craig David song or something. I don't know. But
Craig David?
This is like on the Monday.
Crucified on a Tuesday. Yeah, I get it. Resurrected on a Wednesday.
Easter Friday. Anyway. But to get into the Craig David spirit, I've got a Christmas jumper on, Dan. My favourite Christmas
I did notice
jumper.
it, mate. It's a Winter Soldier jumper.
Winter Soldier.
Which, yeah, very cool.
Awesome.
Oh, look at them rippling non-muscles. Great.
I actually did it.
God's sake.
For our audio listeners, I've got a Christmas jumper on. That's what we were talking about.
Indeed, yeah. But last week, during the podcast, you were trying to sort of force a Christmas issue, and I pointed out, quite obviously, that we're going to be doing this again before Christmas. So this is definitely the one where any Christmas-related bits need to be discussed. But there is a priority signal that's come in. A distress call of major proportions.
See
what I did there?
That is proper journalism, Dan. Not the actual sourcing of the information, but the headline, the punny headline.
Yeah, I should be a tabloid journalist, yeah. I just start from a shit pun title and then work backwards from there.
Just make the news up like they do.
Yeah. But tell us about it, because I'm sure that was the plan anyway.
Yeah, I mean, at Christmas aside, the present that Jonathon Majors didn't want happening is he's been dropped from the MCU due to recent claims, and he has now been found guilty of assault and harassment. So Marvel will not be moving forward with the Kang actor. Ooh.
Yes, so that's pretty grim, unfortunately. It was something that we did discuss during Loki season 2, because we did, what was it called? Loki chat?
Spoiler cast.
That was it. But we went through every episode, near enough, of the season 2 of Loki. Obviously, John Majors was still a part of that, and we were like, what are they going to do here? Like, because I don't think it'd been official that... Well, obviously it wasn't, because now it is.
Yeah.
But we assumed that it was reasonable that, given the allegations, even if after a trial and a decision, he was found to be not guilty, that there's so much sort of, like, bad press and sort of negativity around that they might just go, we don't want to deal with it, even the potential, because then if it turned out that he did it again, say, and then they would be like, well, you went to trial, you didn't do anything about it, and you should have just done that rather than thinking about your own brand or whatever. So now that he's been found guilty and they've dropped him, obviously the only thing that, because people at this point are just sort of like, good, like that's probably the best move. Clearly those allegations are more than allegations; they are presumably truth at this point. So all that people are speculating about now is, well, what are they going to do?
Yeah.
Does this mean that the whole Kang thing is just going to be knocked on the head? Because obviously there was a lot building up within the sort of cinematic universe to kind of point that he was the next big threat. Yeah. I say that only in the sense that he was in Ant-Man and then he was in Loki. I haven't seen the Marvels, so I don't know if he's a part of that in any way, but none of the other movies or TV shows or anything like that have really featured him as a big threat. They all seem to have their own little things that are going on.
Yeah.
So I think you could just sort of go, let's just say that not everybody watched Loki, and well, we had a Kang and then he got exploded or minimized or obliterated or whatever in Ant-Man. as a villain, he's gone now.
I
So, like, you know, we still had, like, the higher level evolutionary,
Yeah.
but he wasn't answering to a Kang. We had, fuck me, I'm trying to think of literally any other fucking, like, the Atlanteans, like Namor. But it wasn't like he was, you know, there was a Atlantean Kang that was, like, pulling
Yeah.
strings and sort of, like, causing an issue or whatever. So there's no overarching villain. So this could be the time, I think, where they could just go, let's just move away from the whole thing. We'll just have a new bad guy, like a big bad. We'll get a Galactus or a Doctor Doom or a cool.
That's the next paragraph, Dan.
What?
So, before we move on, though, I just want to point out an easy way around this, where they wouldn't have really had to change anything, is if they'd have done your theory.
What, and just...
And had Thingy as a variant.
Oh, Renslayer. Yeah.
She could have just been a variant, but hey-ho. But
annoyingly, though, they did do a very big thing in Ant-Man where they were like, here's a million billion Kangs, and they're all John Majors. So, whilst in Loki, we've had, like, multiple Loki variants that aren't Tom Hiddleston.
Yeah. Spider-Man as well.
What?
We've got different Spider-Man, different universes.
Yeah, exactly. So you could have just gone, oh, well, not all the Kangs look like this guy. Yeah. But they've really gone out of their way to show that all the ones that we've seen so far are definitely
they
all this guy.
Like him.
Yeah.
But it's basically unclear if Marvel will excuse me, if Marvel will recast Kang or scrap the character altogether. However, the Kang Dynasty has now been renamed officially to Avengers 5.
Okay.
And rumours point to they are considering a pivot to Doctor Doom.
But then that way, they can, like, because Doom's a great villain. Like, assuming he's done right, like, he is an Ultron level sort of, like, you know, he's like tech, but like super tech.
Yeah.
You know, and he's magic-y or whatever. So they could kind of do anything, like, you know, he's a vibranium thing. He's pissed off because of Sokovia, and, you know, that's kind of drawn him out of hiding from being, like, you know, in Latveria or whatever. So, but the problem is, if you have Doom as your villain, you've got to have the Fantastic Four.
I mean...
So the Fantastic Four movie's in, like, 2025, right?
Yeah, so the only MCU film being released next year, 2024, is Deadpool 3. That's the only Marvel movie coming out next year now. Everything else has been pushed back. And then Captain America Brave New World is February 14th, 2025. 2055? 2025. Just realised that's bloody Valentine's Day as well.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah. Well, there's clearly some sort of romance subplot that's going to be in that,
potentially, then. Between Sam and Chris Evans,
Bucky.
Maybe. Let's bring it back for one last fling. But yeah, so, I mean, if they're smart, and I know some people might see it as rehashing, but if they do it the Thanos way, so he's just teased at the end of each of the films, you don't need to introduce anyone straight away because it's not a threat yet. It's just like a looming thing that's obviously going to happen at some point, and then that gives you time to get your Fantastic Four in. Because if we don't have anything next year, like, that means it'll be, I don't know, doesn't really give you a lot of time to build it up, does it? But I know what you're saying, though. Like, we 100% need Fantastic Four if we're getting Doom. Just not necessarily.
Well, I've had a thought. What if... So the Fantastic Four film, assuming that it hasn't been pushed back, I think was 2025, that we were going to get something like that. So, but that's also not to say that Doom was going to be the main villain. Because, like, whenever Marvel, like this new slate of MCU films, whenever they've covered a character when... you know, so they did Spider-Man, but they didn't go Green Goblin straight away. They didn't go Doc Ock straight away. They haven't done that for any of them except Far From Home, and that's the original ones being pulled through. It's not a new take on it or whatever. So they could do a Fantastic Four film, but then they wouldn't... That doesn't necessarily mean that the villain that they're going to be going up against is Doctor Doom.
I think it's more that you're... So when you think of the X-Men, who's the first villain you think of when you think of the X-Men?
Well, Magneto.
Who's the first villain when you think of Spider-Man?
Green Goblin.
He was the first villain when you think of Fantastic Four.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's understandable that of the movies we've had for most of the Marvel things, but of the movies we've had, they've gone straight for like I have very little reason to believe it otherwise. But if we didn't have the Raimi films, Disney would have gone Green Goblin, Doc Ock, everything else. Just
Probably so,
because they are the A tier villains that people know.
True, but if you look at it, because there's obviously been the Fox Fantastic Four films where we've had Doom twice, and we've had Silver Surfer as a thing. So when they then get their hands on the property or reclaim a property, the first thing they do is tend not to repeat what's already been seen.
Yeah.
So they've already done Doom twice. Although, the bar's really kind of low. Because, like, to try and do Green Goblin, that's Willem Dafoe. You've got to try and beat Willem Dafoe. You do Doc Ock, you've got to beat Alfred Molina. So rather than try and go, well, we'll do a new version of it, and people go, well, it's not as good as the old one, they've just gone, well, fuck it, we'll just bring the old one back. People loved them. They're still around. They're still keen on it. Sure, it'll be a cool kind of, like, wrap-up to the whole thing.
And it fit.
But if you were to do a reasonably decent Doctor Doom, you'd blow the others out of the park straight away.
I mean, I thought,
almost out of spite, they could say, we'll almost rehash it and we'll do it better.
I thought that, I can't remember his name, I want to say Christian, so I could be wrong there, but the guy from Nip Tuck, who played Doom in the first Fantastic Four movies, I think he was a pretty good actor. I'm not saying he wasn't a particularly good Doom, but I think out of the casting for those movies, I think he was one of the better choices. Just not
him and
not
Chiklis were probably the best castings.
It was just a fantastic thing.
Yeah,
so good.
So I think if you were to try and like bin everything off and go, right, Doom's going to be the new bad. Everyone can have their own versions of themselves that they've got to fight or whatever. But your big overarching, let's get all the Avengers back together. If that's going to be Doom, I reckon you do a Fantastic Four film. You do a bit of an origin. So, you know, like in this version, this is how they all get their abilities, or they've always been around and they just fucked off to another dimension for 10 years or whatever to do a thing, whatever. But then they have to come up against Doom. I would much rather that it's like an established team that are from another universe, so we don't have to go through, they go to space or powers or whatever, and an established Doom. And they have a Fantastic Four film that's now pulled through into the normal MCU continuity, but in that they lose.
Yeah,
Doom wins, and they try everything they can, but they can't beat him. He's got too many Doom bots. He's got crazy like vibranium shield laser powers. Like he should have like Wakandan level tech.
Well,
and then to try and beat him, then they have to get the Avengers together, because then you could have your end scene, which is Mr. Fantastic going to Bucky or Sam or whatever.
Sam, it?
Yeah, saying like, we've got this guy and we've tried to do everything that we can to take him out and we can't. So we're sending up the Avengers signal to kind of get some backup if you can come and help us.
I can't think of another way of doing, not necessarily that exact flow, but they can't be an origin story for this MCU, but they've also, like I said, they've got to explain why they haven't been around. And the easiest way of doing it is all the time stuff that they've done in Far From Home and multiverse.
Or a multiverse. Yeah, it's like it's Reader's invented a multi-dimensional thing because his Earth's getting fucked over by Galactus or Doom or whatever. And then there's some remnants of like all the multiverse stuff from Doctor Strange. He's kind of like tapped into that kind of thing, and he's gone through into our continuity of the MCU and sort of said like, we're like the only heroes on Earth.
Yeah,
you've got a lot here. Like, can you come in and sort us out for a bit? But it all goes tits up, and they lose their world or whatever, and then they have to come through into the MCU. Something like that would be fine, because then you don't have to have another origin story.
Yeah.
And you can have a Doom that's a threat immediately. Rather than, again, he's got to build up his abilities or whatever. Like, no, he's like, he could crush worlds if he wanted to.
Yeah, we want like the strongest Doom that we've never seen in live action before. And
yeah, definitely, yeah.
Because for the most part, been very underutilized. I'd say the closest, and do not hate me for saying this, the closest we've got to a powerful Doom would have been the Fan 4 Stick movie, and it wasn't well done.
I disagree. I'd say that the most powerful version we've seen so far is him in Silver Surfer, like when he's actually got the board.
Oh, I suppose.
And he's got like
yeah.
The he can create like whirlwinds and vortexes and all that kind of stuff. But as soon as he's like hastily knocked off it, it's just back to being a guy with sort of vague electric powers. And he's a bit metal or something. Forget it.
It wasn't well done at all.
Well, no, he just ended up on the bottom of the sea or whatever, so he just drowns or something.
Which, isn't that the thing from The Man in the Iron Mask?
No, he was just like locked in a dungeon for 30 years.
I had a thing in it that he was in water at some point. I could be massively wrong there. Could be massively wrong. If we don't get Doom, though, who do you want in a Fantastic Four movie? Mole Man.
I don't know. I mean, the problem is that like things like Black Panther and the Skrulls are like kind of tied quite closely to them as well. But they've already been done by other sort of areas of the only things that haven't been done by Marvel or couldn't be done by Marvel until the acquisition would have been Doom and Galactus, because those are the only ones that they haven't got. But I'd rather Galactus, but it's a giant man the size of a moon.
Yeah.
Like stomping around and sucking up planets and stuff. Like, do him as a giant dude.
It'd have to be done properly. I mean, you could have like Mephisto, I suppose, but if they didn't do that with Scarlet Witch, I can't see them doing it with Fantastic Four.
But again, like if you're doing Mephisto, then I'd rather that you do him with like Blade or with Ghost Rider, and like or like if you wanted to, Johnny Blaze or one of the other Ghost Riders, they make a deal with Mephisto to do a thing, and then they still end up with the rider or whatever. But there's like when you're sort of like in your cosmic phase, which has kind of been done now. Like now you're into your multi-dimensional and time phase, which is like your Lokis and your No Way Homes and that kind of stuff. To go before that's kind of come to its conclusion, like it's multi-dimensional, sort of like we get a nice bow on it. To then go and gods and devils and stuff. Well, that seems a bit more.
From what
I don't know. That just seems a bit more problematic than just a multiverse where there's like infinite possibilities.
That's what they're going to have to go to at some point, though. It's going to be something that's less of a threat than the world collapsing in on itself because of time and space and whatnot.
But Loki's kind of covered that now.
That's what I mean. Like the next thing isn't going to be like I can't think of anything that's going to be like endgame level, like threat. Without obviously they need to sow it for many years, like they did with the previous.
Phases. But that was on the basis of collecting these stones over the course of time and effort and finding them all or whatever. But now that we know that the stones aren't really the biggest issue, like the TVA could stop all of that if they wanted to. Pop in, prune you, bang, off you go, and the stones are useless.
No matter what comes in, they'll just go, "Well, fuck the Avengers, we just need the TVA."
Well, yeah, technically, yeah. You could just, especially like Loki knows about them. So he could connect all of those dots together and just like, right, this timeline, you need help, so you Avengers come in and help this one or whatever. So he could be, now that he's a good guy.
Maybe that would work with your theory for Fantastic Four, though. Maybe it's not Reed Richards, maybe it's Loki. And he's just like,
maybe.
No matter what thingy they're in, the Fantastic Four keep losing to Doom. Let's introduce them to the Avengers.
Yeah, like if he's got that level of control, so it depends on whether his things is just time, or like does he have direct control over the timelines within him? Like can he manipulate them to some degree? So that I don't know if that's going to be like a season 3 of Loki thing, but how is he going to have another season of that show?
They've got to.
It's going to be Mobius and Renslayer and all them off doing their own things, and he's going to be like, well, I can't help because I've got to sort of sit here and just do time stuff. So
what if he sends out a variant of himself?
Ooh, like an avatar, kind of
basically,
a drone or whatever.
He's still controlling it and everything else, but he remains sat in the chair. But you've got a Loki out and about.
Maybe, or you could just get a Loki that's not as bad as normal Loki, but not quite as good as this Loki, and just be like, can you just step in and help with some of the the things that I can't because I've got to like look after time or whatever.
I'd be fine with that. Anything with more Tom Hiddleston, I like him.
Yeah, he's doing real good. Like that show. To be fair, if they just said Loki's now the OB show, I'd be okay with that. It's just like him just coming up with crazy TVA inventions and stuff. That was sick. I don't know. I think they've obviously been building to this Kang, so if they've been pushing everything back, presumably that means that they're just like, we need to just
start again.
Yeah. I think if they were just doing a recast, which again they could say, no, fuck the guy. Like, we put plenty of time and effort into this. We're still doing it. I don't think they would have been the name off. I don't think they would have pushed a bunch of stuff back. They could just do reshoots with whoever it is that they grab to replace him.
Yeah. Especially it's an easy explanation as well, because as we've already discussed, but as it's always been proven, not all of the variants look the same.
Yeah.
So it's a really easy switch if you was going to do that. So the fact that everything's been pushed back, titles of movies have been changed, they're going to change it up, and we're not going to see Kang. Maybe we'll see him again later on in a separate phase, but I think
it would be different if this was happening a couple of years from now, and like Kang Dynasty was supposed to be next year, because odds are it's already been filmed.
Yeah.
So you'd have to go back and reshoot everything, and again that would affect however many years of planning for, like, okay, well, the next 5 movies are going to feature this aspect of the outcome of this Avengers Kang film or whatever. So, it's. I reckon it'll be one of two. It'll be they just recast him and they just don't mention it. Like, so not even say like, oh, I had to change my face because they're just like, no, fuck that guy.
Yeah.
We'll just get someone to just come in and just do the same thing.
And we'll just make sure that when he walks into the room, somebody goes, oh my God, it's Kang. So everybody knows who it is.
Yeah, it's like, oh my God, it's Kang. Remember when we fought him? Like, and the Loki thing? That's the same guy, by the way, right? Or they'll go, we'll come back to it.
Yeah, I think it's something...
They need to go away and plan for 50 years or whatever, and then they can come back at a later date when everyone's forgotten about John Majors, and we can introduce a new Kang.
Yeah.
Like, there'll be the next season of Loki will go, right, well, Loki will do a time thing and get rid of all of them because he's in charge of time or something now.
He can do it. He can do it.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to... I think this is... I know it's not ideal and it's not good for people involved in what's gone on. But I think this could be the big shake-up that Disney need to... I think they've been a bit complacent with a lot of the Marvel stuff as of late. And I think this is something where it's going to fall... They've got to do something, one way or the other.
Yeah.
Hopefully it'll be for the better.
I like the idea of that, because with the Kang thing as it was going, like, I like John Majors in it. He's got arms for days. I liked the possibility of seeing him doing 50 different characters all in one film and having to have one's a robot and one's a tiny little fairy flying around. And he's got to change his performance up. I thought that'd been quite interesting. But if it's that or Doom,
yeah,
Doom all the way. Yeah, I want to see what they want to do with that whole how's that going to work? And like you say, that would be such a change. And I don't know if you'd go, oh, we need to get the Guardians involved in this, because it's he's kind of he's just a guy with tech and stuff like that. But it would be that kind of Loki thing of every time you go, yes, we've got him, Doombot.
Yeah.
And real Doom still just pissing about in Latveria still. He's never left. He's still there, just sending out 1 million Doom robots or whatever.
He's a good top tier villain for someone that's not obviously not on the same level as somebody like Kang in terms of the
universal war. Yeah,
that kind of malarkey. But Doom's... He's a good villain. He's a compelling villain. He's a really good character. I still like the design of him, even though he's like RoboCop, Robin Hood. But it works, and there's still a lot of people that would look at a picture of Kang and not know who he is. But everyone knows who Doom is. Whether but
this is what I'm saying though, because if you had a new origin, most of the Avengers, pretty much on their own, could deal with the Doom that we've seen so far.
Easily,
they wouldn't really have to do too much to kind of fuck him up. But if you were to introduce a Doom that's been dooming hard for 20 years, he's an untouchable supervillain in terms of whatever world he comes from, that would be then okay, well, Captain America isn't going to be able to go up against this guy.
No.
Like, especially not Falcon Captain America, because he's just
Shit.
a normal dude that can fly
Needs to be this
with
guy.
wings.
Not me. I mean, Winter Soldier.
Bucky. Yeah, but like even him, like you make him float in the air. Well, he's useless now.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? There's like he could counteract a lot of them. So to get someone of that level of power in, then you'd be like, okay, we need a team to actually like try and deal with this guy. That would be far more interesting to me than just a million billion Kangs.
That's been the problem with most of these phases, though, hasn't it? Where we haven't got that like universal need for a team, and it's kind of like just putting people together for the sake of it. For a lot of these newer movies, where I don't know, it just doesn't feel like there's much effort's been put in, and I assume it has. Just doesn't feel like it.
Well, I think it's just the grind as well. It's just like pumping out content and content and content. Like to have a whole year where there's only one movie that's coming out. Maybe that's just sort of the time that you need to buy yourself to just sort of give people a bit of time to just go, okay, well, that's no more Marvel saturation for a bit. Give them a year, and then they'll be hungry for it. Because then imagine if they came back and said, we've had a bit of a shake-up and we've had to rethink a few things, and we're pushing some projects around, and like the phase timeline that we had, we'll change that. Like we might get some sort of notion of this, like the next Comic-Con or whatever. Yeah. And then they say, but it's for the better. And we've got a new Thanos level sort of villain that's going to he's going to be a real prick and everyone's going to hate him. And all you need to do is just get a really good actor to do Doom and just have him as like an unstoppable tank for like a couple of movies.
Next question. Who do you want to play Doom? Not necessarily, not who do you want, who do you think would make a good Doom?
I would rather that they just put anyone in a Doom costume and they just have him in costume. You don't need to have a FaceTime with him.
Yeah.
Hood him up, get the proper mask, make him look big, so you could just get any sort of big, physically capable person. And just it'd just be who would be a good imposing voice that you can kind of like make it a bit gritty, a bit more robotic or whatever.
Ron Perlman.
I could deal with that, yeah. I mean, I would have said
honest,
someone like James Spader. Like, I think he would have been quite a good sort of Doom voice in the same way that he did for Ultron.
I was going to say he would have been. I think that'd be a real good shout for if we were just going for the voice like aspect of it. He'd be great, but he was Ultron, so
yeah,
we're not going to see that unless he voices him in like an animated show or something like that. But yeah. I like that. I mean, to be fair, Perlman could do both. Like, he's big enough to be.
He is big, yeah.
And stuff. It's obviously he is getting on a bit.
Well, that's what I mean. If you couldn't have him doing all like the crazy physical stuff and like throwing people around and whatever, then if you get a stunt double, you might as well just get any old random in, because then you don't have to pay them a huge amount compared to getting a named person that potentially you could never see the face of, and you just get a great voice actor to come in and just crush the voice. Because then all you need is just someone running around in a costume going ah, and then you get someone voicing
like
it,
Darth Vader.
and It's the exact thing. You just Vader it. You get Dave Prowse to come in and do a great physical performance and be imposing as shit, and then you get Earl Jones to come in and nail the voice down forever. You get the equivalent of that. That would totally work, I reckon.
I think I don't think that's a route they'll take, because they never do.
Probably not.
But
no, it will be someone.
The best idea for it. Plus, it's longevity as well.
You get Cavill.
Nah, he's too big. He's too big to not use him properly. And I think that for it.
I think that to sort of prove a point, they would try and get Affleck. They would try and get Cavill. They would try and get someone that's been in a DC property that's sort of falling apart a bit. And then you repurpose them and give them a great role.
Oh no! I don't mean in that way. I mean, like, if we're doing that, he's having his helmet off.
I don't know, because I reckon that someone like Cavill is a big enough nerd that he'd be like, I'm not going to do it if you're going to keep having my face popping out all the time. Or maybe I'll do a flashback before I'm Doom, when I'm just like, a young lad running around or whatever. And then he gets stuck in an iron mask or, however they do it.
What if they got Cavill, but they got someone else. Like they got like Spader doing the voice.
I'd be okay with that.
I don't go. I'm gonna be fine with
Tell
it.
you what. I tell you what you do. Solved it. You ready, Marvel execs? You ready for this?
You writing this down?
You have Sokovia very near, if not next to, Latveria. And when they had like the Iron Legion Ultron bots or whatever, one of the like Iron Man masked robot, like Ultron robots, that's the Doom mask, because like,
you know what,
he like half his country got destroyed. He blames the Avengers, and he's taken on the mask of his enemy, and then something goes wrong and he gets fused to him or whatever.
I like this idea. And for whatever reason, the modulator was in it, and that's why he sounds like Spader.
You can get Robert Downey Jr. to voice him. Imagine Iron Man coming back to be the voice of Doom. That would be fucking banging.
That would be, again, out of the many theories we've had on this podcast, this is the one that's definitely not going to happen. But
oh, for sure.
I think it's the one I want to happen the most.
Yeah, but if you got
that's a really good idea though for the Iron Man mask and stuff.
Well, if you think of like Batman versus Superman, like that it's contrived, but the opening of Batman versus Superman is the end of Man of Steel, and it's Batman trying to like the city's falling apart. He's like, what the fuck? So if he was just a normal Henry Cavill in Latveria, and then like he just sees like his neighboring country just like getting, or city or whatever, just getting like raised out of the ground, and then
Affleck's legging it
exploded, and then like his country is just like like a meteor shower, just like devastates like a bunch of his country. But then he's pissed because he's like, why isn't like the Iron Man's like special teams of cleanup crews or whatever, what's that called? Center for Damage Control. I think it's that
Department of Damage Control.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah, like how come they haven't come to my country and helped clean up all the mess after the city exploded or whatever? So like you could just have a general bitterment and like resentment against the American government and against the Avengers for killing like a whole bunch of his people, and then not bothering to even come and clear up after and then he takes on an Iron Man mask that he's enhanced with his own like crazy Latvian tech or something.
And I think if something was gonna, because a lot of stuff's been floating around for Captain Britain, for Cavill, but I think a lot of that's just basically down to the fact that he's British
and he's shredded.
And it's just an easy fit. But I think if you was going to entice someone like Cavill into getting back into the superhero genre, obviously he's been Superman for a long time now, the role of somebody like Doom as this overarching villain, I reckon you could win him over with that.
I reckon so, because like if you look at Brolin and just like, how do you want to be this? Apps like everyone will know that you're like a great bad guy. One, we're going to write it really well, but everyone will see you as this bad guy, or like you will be the bar that is set for everyone else to kind of stand up to like, well, he's not that dangerous compared to Thanos. Like having him smash the shit out of the Hulk like in the first 30 seconds of Infinity War, it's just sort of like that sets the tone instantly. Like, oh, this guy's always been pulling the strings, but you can't just. He's not like he's sort of like a nerdy mastermind, and then as soon as you pull a gun on him, you've won.
Yeah,
like you cannot just go toe to toe with this guy unless you're Captain Marvel, I guess, and unless he's Infinity Stoned it up, and then like even without that, he's a serious threat.
I mean,
you'd need to have something like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, like they have to proper like power Doom up, which makes sense for it to be not an origin, but he's already an established thing in a different timeline, comes to this timeline or whatever. But what worked really well with Thanos was like they'll find like Ebony Maw and stuff, and they were like powerful characters and obviously allies of Thanos. But the Avengers was handling them, and like it took a bit going, but they could do it. But then when it comes to Thanos, killed Loki, he battered Thor, he battered the Hulk into basically being too embarrassed to come out again. And I don't know how you'll do that with Doom in that level. But at the same time, the Avengers we've got aren't the same team.
That's true, but he's still it's not just that he's strong; he's also brilliant.
Mm.
So if you think someone who can go, okay, well, I've just been sitting here, and I know who you are, and I know what you can do, and I know that's the Hulk, and I've got a way of counteracting that. Like he's got like an anti-gamma ray gun,
Yeah.
and he can just, and then he's not the Hulk anymore. Like you could like, if it's like it's the sort of like the Batman contingency plan thing.
Yeah.
He's just been he Zemos it, and he's just been like, I know who you all are, I know how you all work, and I've got a way of counteracting every one of you.
If they go down the other dimension route, he obviously won't know who they are then.
No, that's very true. But then it could just be like if his tech is more magic based rather than
which
like
I think
technology based. Maybe, but then that's why, you know, if he's sort of like an evil Doctor Strange, he's got that kind of level of ability. Then because like Strange can handle most things. Like in the No Way Home, it was like a couple of guys who managed to deal with Thanos, and like Strange being one of them. So you give someone that level of power, but there's also like a tech element to it as well. So like imagine like an Iron Man, but instead of it being like crazy arc reactor tech, it's like concentrated magic or something like that.
Because has Doom got telekinesis abilities?
I don't know. Honestly, I think he's one of those that, depending on the story and who's writing it, like it varies as to what his actual ability set is.
I'm sure I have seen stuff where it's more, so like it is more sorcery than science. But then equally, I've seen more things and read more things where it's more science.
It's robots and like advanced robotics and stuff.
So I think it is. Just it completely depends who's writing the story, really.
Or you could just say that his suit is like an Iron Man suit, so he's like a reverse Iron Man. He's like anti-Iron Man.
I say if he's took one of the Iron Legion things and just recommissioned it himself, and then
or reverse engineered it and gone. I've got, you know, he's a world leader, so he's managed to like get like a bunch of tech from Stark or from Wakanda or something like that, and then he's made his own sweet ass version of that.
Yeah. Especially as with them having Fox, they can use adamantium now. Now
that would be interesting if they brought an element into the universe that did not exist.
Yeah. Well, that's what they have to like, because obviously they made vibranium because they hadn't got adamantium. That was what.
Oh no, vibranium still existed.
No. But I mean that they made that as the this is the strongest metal in the universe because adamantium.
They didn't have an option.
But,
yeah.
Like obviously Wolverine's going to come in. He's not going to have a vibranium skeleton. It will be adamantium. But if somebody like Doom has got access to it, and it more so is something that can go against vibranium more than anything else. But all that's going to do is
imagine that, like he's got like an adamantium spear or something, or a claw, or a stabby blade or whatever, and he's getting jumped on by Black Panther.
Yeah.
In an indestructible suit, and just goes stab.
Yeah.
Like straight through them, like it's nothing. Like he cut through Cap's shield, everything.
His shield and his wings. Bucky's arm.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then everyone's sort of like, oh, this guy's like a whole. This is a whole of a level. Like how can because, like Thanos' sweet helicopter blade sword thing, like that could cut through vibranium.
Yeah.
So what's that metal?
I don't think they ever went into any context for that, did they? It was just off-world stuff.
To be fair, maybe it's just like a super strong metal, and with his level of strength, he could puncture it.
Yeah, because
maybe.
Like realistically, if the Hulk hit you with an oar from a boat, it's going to do some fucking damage. And that's just a piece of wood, really. So I suppose some of it could just be. This could be the strongest material from Thanos' homeworld, or from somewhere in space in general. And like you say, just with the strength he's got, is enough to do it. But vibranium, vibranium can break vibranium, can't it?
Yeah,
I'm sure we've seen that in stuff. Like with
like
Black Panther scratching the shields and stuff.
Exactly, yeah. So if vibranium is this like it's the strongest metal ever, but I don't think anyone's ever said it's an indestructible metal. They've just said it's like the strongest element or something because it like absorbs all the vibration. But if you were to then introduce adamantium in, like, which again, I think that's always been the case in the X-Men films that we've had so far, is that outside of its liquid state, it can't be destroyed.
Yeah.
But we've seen it being cut. Like in the Wolverine, like the Silver Samurai, he's got like a
But that's
a heated
adamantium as well.
It is, but it's like a super white hot adamantium. But it's still not breaking it. It's presumably melting it.
Yeah, it's like splitting the atoms, and not necessarily atoms, but separating
it's
material in it.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know if it would be cutting it necessarily, just separating it. So if adamantium was technically stronger than vibranium, then that means that Wolverine would be the most indestructible, I guess.
In that respect, yeah. But on the same breath, Hulk has ripped Wolverine in half.
But anyone can do that though, because like your spine isn't directly connected. It's not the bone doesn't connect from your spine into your hips.
No, but I mean, where does that?
It's like a meaty gap.
Yeah. But I mean, like, you'd have to do it at the exact right bit, though, wouldn't you? Because basically, he does that, and then he throws his legs up a mountain, and then he has to crawl his way up to find his legs.
But yeah, like your spine and everything like that is connected into like your hips, like where your top connects to your bottom. Basically, that's all just sort of like meat and cartilage and stuff. And with his strength, you could just tear that apart.
Yeah.
Like the bone, like it wouldn't affect the metal in any way because you're pulling it apart.
Yeah, it's just in my head. It was just going from top to bottom, just like spine, and obviously that's not how it works. But
no.
But again, in the comics and in some of the cartoons as well, when it does like flashback stories, like when Cap and Wolverine first meet before they work together, when he goes to get him with the shield, he uses claws and he just stops it dead. But then equally later on, he's done it where he's put his claw and he's cut some of the shield off. So it's definitely stronger than vibranium.
Yeah. Because I would like to like have a thing where like he's just getting absolutely obliterated, and like it's just being decimated, and it's just all growing straight back again, and it's just like half the Avengers just going, "Where the fuck have you been for like the last 10 years we've been doing this, and you can't be killed? Like, why haven't we had you before?"
That's the biggest problem with all, like, obviously I love Wolverine, but these are the biggest problems with these kind of characters where you don't need anyone else unless you're going up against like Magneto or someone, obviously, and then he's a bit redundant. But it's even then, Doom could figure something else like that. Just get a big magnet.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, right, okay, it's metal. So is it like anti-magnetic, or is it like, can I just use the super magnet in my glove and just blast him across the room? Because then again, he can't touch me. Then activate magnetic shield. You can't, even if you try, you cannot get to me.
But the same thing though with Magneto. There's a kind of like with it, Magneto's fighting the X-Men and the Avengers, and Tony Stark obviously goes in, and he's obviously Iron Man, so he's just like nearly crushes him in the suit, and then he fucks off and he makes like a Kevlar base suit, comes back and he's still crushing it, and then he makes a wooden suit and comes back, but for that they went as far as saying that you can control the iron in your blood. I was like, well, that's everyone. That's literally everyone in the fucking world.
Yeah.
So that's, again, dependent on the writer. But it's like, you can't make somebody that powerful. Anyway, stop getting my hopes up with our Cavill dream team.
I know, we can talk about Cavill playing Doom and how that's going to be awesome, and it's obviously not going to be any of that anyway. So probably best not to dwell on it until we find out a little bit more information.
Which is likely to be a good few years away.
It'll be next year. We'll get some sort of update because they'll need to keep people intrigued.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I'm looking forward to Deadpool 3. I don't think it's got the weight to carry behind it where they go, man, I can't wait for the next 4 phases of Marvel movies.
No, unless they're putting it in as a part of that, I can't see it having any impact because that's the only thing that's, I imagine, is being actively filmed at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming it's nearly finished. because they started resuming again not too long ago. Although, did you see the pictures Reynolds was putting out?
No, because I purposefully don't look at anything that he ever says unless it's about his stupid gin.
This is very funny. So basically, he put a tweet out on Instagram and I assume Facebook and whatever else. And basically, people were caught taking photos while they were on set filming stuff, and there was like big spoilers for the movie.
Oh shit! Really?
He didn't go into specifics, and I haven't looked into what they was. But it's just like people love. Like I make movies because I love making movies, and I like surprising people with movies. Blah 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 blah. So just please don't leak any of the photos. And to to jump the gun, he's leaked them himself, but he's photoshopped stuff in. So there's things that haven't happened, but they're like the on-set photos that people have leaked. But he's photoshopped the stuff out. So there's a bit when like Deadpool's holding something, but it's just like I can't remember what it is, but it's like an Asda bag. like it's
like a Green Lantern torch.
Yeah, just really stupid things that very obviously aren't in the movie.
Oh, okay, right.
I was like, that's pretty funny. But speaking of leaking things though, Dan, Insomniac Games.
Yes.
Spider-Man,
Ratchet and
Spider-Mans.
Many Spider-Mans.
They had basically ransom hackware breach things.
Oh dear.
And the people wanted a fuck ton of money, like I think it was like $20 million or something they wanted, or they were going to leak it, which wasn't just related to games like Wolverine, the new Spider-Man game that's going to be obviously coming out in a not too distant future, but also personal information from people that work there as well. Sony and them, I assume, didn't jump on board and pay the ransom that they wanted. So I can't. Nick Resender, it says the hacker's name was. They've dumped more than 1 terabyte's worth of Insomniac internal data.
Yikes!
So it's a big one. But because for a selfish reason, I don't want any spoilers for Wolverine or anything, so I haven't looked into what has been done. But also because I know it's too late now. But I feel like if I have a look at it, then the hackers have won.
Yeah, you
that's how. And I don't want.
Even though there's no way of anybody knowing that, but you would know that you've looked under the curtain and you've seen what's going to happen or whatever. And yeah, I agree that I get so excited like whenever we watch like an E3. Although that's been binned off, so there you go. There's a new bit of news for you as well. E3 has been officially binned.
Dead.
But whenever watching some PlayStation show or whatever, and it's like, dun dun dun, Metal Gear Snake's remake, it's like, oh, that's so cool. And I don't want to read about it insinuated in an email that's been leaked. And you go, oh, that thing that I read about 6 months ago, yeah, cool. Like I like that's why, again, we've talked about it to death, but that's why I never watch any trailers outside of like the first 1 or 2 for any film that I'm keen on watching. Yeah. I don't read any articles about it. I actively try and steer clear and like try and change my sort of online presence in a way that anything's like, oh, here's a bit of Marvel comics. I'm like, no, delete or like block or don't show me that, because I want the algorithms in like any social media to sort of like steer away from any of that kind of content, so it's not getting fed to me by accident.
Yeah, and that's the biggest problem I have is obviously because getting news together for podcasts and stuff. A lot of the time when I am looking, if something's happening, so say Wolverine was out tomorrow, like the first thing I'll see on Instagram or on Twitter, I'm going to call it Twitter because I refuse to call it X, but anything I go on, I know news regarding that thing that I'm trying to avoid will be there because I'm always looking at news and other things.
Yeah.
But that's my fault because that's what I do when I go on social media and on Google News and stuff like that. Whereas this, I can avoid clicking into it unless the headline specifically details everything out and I can't miss it. But it's a lot of I know it's a lot of stuff relating to the upcoming Wolverine game, the next thingy of a Spider-Man game, another game that I'm not going to mention, but that was a big fucking surprise, and that was on a headline, so that really fucking pissed me off, IGN. But basically,
is it another Marvel property? Okay, that's all I want to know. I don't want anything else.
I've specifically chosen not to say anything, so at least you can be surprised when it happens. But
sure.
But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that work there. They've all had their, including Yuri. Oh, I can't remember the chap's name, but the guy who voices and plays Spider-Man. Like, he's had a lot of personal information leaked and stuff, and it's just a real shitty thing. And it doesn't excuse it, but not excuse. That's the wrong term. But there's way worse developers you could have gone after.
That was kind of what I was going to say. It's like if everyone at Insomniac's, all their email addresses were all leaked or whatever, the only thing that I can imagine that they would ever be contacted about by randoms would be, great work on all the Spider-Man games, guys. Like, they're fucking sick. I can't wait for some more. It's not going to be people going, boo, Spider-Man sucked.
No.
Like, is there anyone who thinks that any of the Spider-Man games are shit?
I don't think even if...
Like the Insomniac ones, obviously.
Yeah,
Not like...
But even if you don't like Spider-Man, if you are one of these people that are still fighting the console fan war and you're an Xbox player, then you might go, oh, Spider-Man's shit. But
just because you can't play it.
Yeah, because it's not.
Yeah.
Even if you don't like... that's not your style of game, still a fucking amazing game, regardless.
Well, it's the same as, like, if you look at, like, a Call of Duty or something like that, you go, well, I'm not really into first-person shooters. But you can't deny how fucking good they all look.
The polish.
Like, Modern Warfare 3, when that comes out, like, again, I don't want to pay for it because I don't want to pay almost full price. Even these, like, after a year or two later after release, it's still 30, 40 quid. I want to play those campaigns, but I know that the games aren't built around them anymore.
Yeah.
So it'll be a cool sort of like 8 hours, like run and gun, big set pieces, and everything looks amazing. Like, there's a couple of videos that I've seen. I think it's a Modern Warfare 3, where it's like the SAS, I think, like doing this like house assault, where they're like, it's in England, and it's like it's taking out like a terrorist cell that's like based in a house in England, and it looks amazing.
Yeah.
Like, I was just like, I would love to just do this mission, because like everything just seems like it's like watching a soldier film.
Yeah.
Like the way that all the entry works, like they're talking, everything's whispered, everything's lasers, everything's like so quiet and like so purposefully kind of like almost perfectly planned to be like being a part of an operation. That sort of side of it, you cannot deny, even if you go, boo, bore Call of Duty, it's all fucking hackers and campers and blah, blah, blah. That looks fucking sweet. That looks great. I mean, but I'm not going to go and pay for it. But I also don't want to ruin anyone else's enjoyment of it.
Yeah, but you're equally not then going to hack into EA and then just go, boo, fucking hell, I'm going to leak all your information because the Call of Duty campaign wasn't long enough. It just seems really that, like, it's such a bizarre choice.
It's people thinking that it's a big target, like, you know, they're worth however many billions, like, that's a lot for me, but it's nothing for them comparatively. Yeah. And if they don't, and I leak all of this stuff, and people actively go out of their way to go and read it all, they'll blame them, not me.
Yeah.
But then, in reality, people will go, well, I'll read it, now I'm annoyed, but I'm annoyed at you for leaking it, not for them for doing their job, ultimately, and you just pulling this out.
Yeah. Nobody deserves... Like, I'm not saying any game developers deserve it, but it just... Like I say, it's just an odd one where you've got someone like Insomniac who, up to now, have done no wrong, and they haven't pissed anyone off, and they've made good games and everything else. But then you've got EA, who notoriously piss people off, and I'm not saying they deserve to be hacked and held to ransom and stuff, but Insomniac, it was just such out of the blue, and the only thing I could think of was an accident. Like, the hackers didn't intend. Maybe they were just going after Sony and like.
You've got to be intentional with that kind of stuff. You can't just get into a server and then just go and hack.
No,
and then the system just does it for you or whatever.
This is just like a long-running thing with Sony, though. Like, remember the big PSN hack?
All the customer data that was leaked. Yeah. That could have been the same thing, though. It could have been someone like, I'll release all this information if you don't. And presumably they went, no, absolutely not. And then, you know, they were leaked. But I know someone's trying it again after it's already been demonstrated that they're not willing to negotiate with terrorists. Also, the first thing you do is someone saying, "Oh, we will release all this data, pay us $20 million." First thing you do, please.
Yeah, which I'm assuming they did. I'm assuming that
we need to track these guys down, like, because we're not going to obviously give it. And again, if someone goes, "Oh, we leaked all your information about a game,"
yeah,
that's all right. It's not nuclear codes. No. It's it's not the end of the world. People will be annoyed up until X project is released anyway, and then they get to experience it. Yeah. Also, there's in some instances you can still have a certain element of a thing spoiled for you, but still enjoy everything about it anyway.
The thing with stuff like this is, like you say, the games aren't the issue. It's shit, but it's the personal information and the people that work.
Yeah, that's not okay.
The people that are actually affected by, like me. I haven't obviously, but me potentially seeing the entire story for the Wolverine game. That's just a thing that affects me and pisses me off for about an hour, and then I'll forget. So it's fine. Yeah. But obviously, real people in their lives have been affected by this, and that's what makes it shit.
But now that means that they've done this. They've held this for ransom, haven't got the money, and then they're still going to be arrested for it anyway.
Yeah.
So they literally got nothing out of this. Like, if surely at that point you go, well, they're not going to pay us. So then we won't release any of the data because we don't want to fuck ourselves over any more than we already have done.
What has been nice, though, I have seen where it'll just pop up on Twitter and that a lot of people like Remedy, Neil Druckmann from Naughty Dog and stuff, like all the games people are collectively like sympathetic, and hackers are fucking bastards.
Yeah.
So it's a nice thing. And again, seeing people from Xbox side, PlayStation, Nintendo, like all players and devs and publishers alike coming together, and it's a nice thing. Doesn't change the fact that it's happened and it's a bag of shit, but it's a bit wank. But like I say, I don't want to go too much into it. But what I did think about while I was umming and ahhing with to the news or not, is Insomniac, obviously owned by PlayStation these days, making Spider-Man and the like. But originally, they made Sunset Overdrive for the Xbox.
No way.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Insomniac have been around for a while. Didn't they make the Small Soldiers game?
I don't know about Small Soldiers. Obviously, they've done Ratchet and Clank and whatnot.
Sorry, I'm thinking of fucking... I don't think it's them anyway, but I was thinking of Neversoft. Like, remember with the eye?
With the eyeball. Tony Hawk.
Yeah.
Tony Hawk.
Yeah.
But
no, it wasn't them. No.
But yeah, it's shit. I don't say we won't go to dwell too much on it because I haven't got the information to talk about, so it seems a bit redundant. But I don't know if you got anything you want to chuck in, Dan. I have been catching up on Lower Decks. I'm on the final current season.
Yeah, which is great news. There's a new season, I believe, that starts in February. So we haven't got a huge amount of time before we get a new season of Lower Decks and Strange New Worlds as well. So once you finish with Lower Decks, then Strange New Worlds is your next one that you need to move on to.
Have I got 2 seasons of that to watch?
Yes. Yeah. So
2 with 3.
Yeah, but that's again only like a 12, 13 episode season, I think. So that won't take you super long to kind of get through, especially with Christmas coming up. You'll have a bit of time off work.
Yeah.
You'll actually have Christmas off. Like, actually off, like, you don't have to book it off, which will be a nice change for you.
First time in 14 years, so...
Right.
It's nice.
Yeah. Any plans?
Yeah, I'm gonna be VRing.
Tell us about that.
So, didn't know what to get Logan for Christmas, so I bought him an Oculus. A Meta Quest, sorry.
2 or 3?
2. I refused... The 3 was like £600. And
whoa, okay, yeah.
It's still something that, I mean, this still wasn't, it was more than I wanted to spend anyway, but it's still something I know isn't going to get used a lot. Like, he'll play it for a little bit, throw up, get put off and play it. Zoe suffers from vertigo anyway, so she's going to have to take a pill before she can play it anyway. And I seem to be fine with it, on like when I've used, like my nephew's got it and whatnot, but it's not going to be an everyday thing. So I think it's a lot of money to spend for something like that. Where
I think if you try and use it more often, though, like if you use it for browsing and stuff like that, so if you're trying to use it like as a monitor rather than just for VR stuff, you at least try and get your money's worth out of it that way.
I'll definitely get my money's worth out of it, but I don't think it'll be until you get VR that I'll play it a lot. Like, I'll do it here and there, and like I was seeing the other day that they're doing the xCloud beta is now in the Oculus store, so you can play it. But again, that's just the same as using it as another screen.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. That's going to be fun. Mario won as well. I need to make sure he's not awake so he can't hear any of this. But so I'm really looking forward to playing that. Everything that I've got of Zoe, I've picked, so I already know what I've got. Well, we did a thing this year where...
Here's my Amazon wish list. You may purchase anything off this.
Yeah, basically, we just went... Because I'm shit, you know full well how shit I am for telling people what I want for birthdays and Christmases and stuff.
Yeah, because you don't care enough, or you just don't know, quite frankly.
Well,
which is why I usually just go for whatever I can just find on Amazon.
This is why I had a dehumidifier for one year for my birthday. I had an animal farm for my birthday.
Yeah.
That was funny though. But so what I did this year, I said to Zoe, just make a list of the things you want, right? And we'll give ourselves a limit. So we're not going to spend more than this, but give me a list. You can go, the list can be over the budget, and I'll pick things off that list because I know 100% what you want. It's the right size clothes, it's the right size shoes, it's the jewelry you want, whatever. And I'll do the same. So that's what we did. So that's going to be interesting.
So you gave her a list of like all these things, and she just had one thing. It's just like, oh, another great year with you,
a divorce,
or something like that. and you're just like, yeah, great. Here's my list. Go to the shops and buy me this shit. Go on.
I weirdly enough, it wasn't that far off, but like I put stuff in, so it was like video lights and photography stuff, like a lot of photography stuff, like basically everything to do with this desk. And I want a new belt, which I've already got on, but and the list I got from her was nowhere near the expense that I put
really?
on. So I was just like, you're gonna have to pick some different things.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was a good idea because I'm not a big fan of like Christmas for me is for Logan. Like I want to see him happy and everything else and all that bullshit. But what has annoyed me with this is the other week, so we come back and she come downstairs and she's like, "Not going to wrap these presents on the side of the bed." No, they're for you. She's like, "Yeah, you're not going to wrap them." Why?
You know what they are?
You picked them.
Yeah, I'll put them in an Asda bag for you,
No,
and you can just open them and just act surprised if you want to. But you know what's in them. I know what's in them.
Yeah, I don't see the point. There's one present that she doesn't know. That's
waste of wrapping paper.
I'll have wrapped that one because she doesn't know what that one is.
Again,
But,
that's fine. That's the point of wrapping paper, right?
Yeah, exactly. But I was just like, still haven't done it. There's still the side of the bed in the bag. Like it's in basically
you got 4 days.
Big
You're
fucking
right.
box. I'll cave and I'll do it, but piss me off because she's wrapped mine. And again, what's the fucking point?
Yeah.
But
just wrap it in sellotape,
not
so it's impossible to get into.
That is like,
it's like, oh, you want me to wrap it? It's going to take you till Boxing Day to get into this motherfucker.
Well, we got into a phase of for Christmas, like I would wrap a lot of Logan's presents because Zoe wraps them properly, and then we have to sit there for 20 minutes per thing because you can't get into it. Like I'll wrap them because I'm shit at wrapping presents anyway. But there's enough slack on them that you can just fucking tear it and it all falls apart. And like, there you go. Guess that's what kids want.
Well, I mean, any present should only ever have 1 or 2 pieces of tape on it, maximum. If it's any more than that, you've done it wrong. Do it again.
If it's not square, I can't wrap it.
Well, most things you just use the chip shot method. In, side, wrap.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So if it's like a book or something, I'll put it in, fold the first bit, and then you just go over it a few times, and then just do the sides, and that's fine. Anything that's not that kind of size or shape, no good. Yeah, I do the Christmas cracker method, where I just put it in the middle and then twins the ends.
That still works, I guess. I mean, what you need maybe is like a couple of tubes of wrapping paper and a few empty boxes.
Yes.
Then you can just put the thing in the box and just wrap the box because you know where you stand with the box.
Oh, I've done that this year with like that the little Lego X-wing thing sent to you, like that white box. I bought loads of these white gift boxes.
Makes sense.
So there's like smaller ones. There's smaller ones than the ones you had. Really, really big ones, even bigger ones. It's like 16 quid for like 80 of these fucking boxes. And I was like,
Jeez.
so I've got fucking loads of them. They're all flat packed, obviously. But I knew some of the presents were going to be really hard to wrap. So I got these boxes to put them in. And then what?
Makes sense.
Like I got my nephew some, not just these, but I got him some guitar plecks because that's what he wanted. But I knew, because I got them from the same place where I get mine, they just come in a little plastic bag. So I've made a little fancy little box. I'll show you a picture of it after, actually, because it's pretty cool. But yeah, they come in really handy because I'm really shit at rapping, like both lyrically in songs and paper.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But so are you got any games you want to be playing or any movies you want to be watching over the Christmas period?
No, I mean, the only Christmas film that I actively enjoy or would actually go out of my way to watch is usually Jingle All the Way, the Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sinbad, Phil Hartman movie, because it's great. But I was out with a couple of mates of mine last week, I think it was. And they've done this to me a couple of times now, where they've just gone, "Oh, do you want to just come and hang out, or whatever?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll pop round, have dinner or whatever." And then they go, "Oh no, we'll go out. We'll go out. There's like it's sort of like a cinema park sort of thing.
Yeah.
So there's like a cinema, and there's an arcade and a bowling alley, and then there's like a bunch of different restaurants that are sort of like on the retail. It's like a retail park, but it's purely just for like, it's where you go on like a Wednesday night or whatever."
Yeah.
So we went to Five Guys, got some Five Guys, and they were just like, "Oh, while we're here, there's like it's the arcade is across the road. Do you want to go and play in the arcade for a bit?" I was like, "Yeah, sweet." And when we were in there, they said, "Actually, oh no, sorry, it was in Five Guys." One of my mates, she got an email that came through, and she just started smiling. And a fella was like, "Oh, what's up?" And she was like, "Oh no, it's fine, it's nothing." And then obviously I was like, "Why? Like, what was that email? What's going on?" Because I'd forgotten about this. I didn't think it was that date specifically, but about a month and a half ago, she messaged me and said, "What are you doing on like X date, like 6 weeks from now?" And I was like, "Why are you asking?" Like, clearly you're doing something and you're planning something. You wouldn't ask this far in advance. Usually you'll get like 2 hours notice for like, "Do you want to come around to do something?" So, but I'd forgotten it was that day. Otherwise, I would have clicked. But she was like, "Oh, we booked like a secret movie thing, because like Cineworld did this thing. Is it Cineworld? Odeon. But they do this thing where you can like just pay for a ticket, and you don't know what it is until you turn up on the day, sort of thing." And they'd gone a while ago, and as part of some similar offer or something like that, they were doing a screening of Jingle All the Way. And they bought me a ticket to go and see Jingle All the Way with them. And I didn't know until, like, they literally could have just gone, "Hey, should we go and see a movie while we're here?"
Yeah.
Oh, shit, we forgot we got this group on or whatever. Like, they could have just played dumb until the credits started and it went Jingle All the Way, and I'd have been like... So they could have got a great little reaction out of me out of it. But I was well excited, and it was so funny still. Like, it still fucking holds up, man. And no children in there, because it's not a children's film anymore.
I thought you meant in the movie. I was going to say, I'm pretty sure there's children in the movie.
Oh, yeah, no, fucking Jake Lloyd's in it.
I was going to say.
But, like, if you look at, like, sort of your modern Christmas films or whatever, there's, like, it's like, it's family and whatever. And this was, like, such a 90s film, because it's, like, it's a dad who's too busy with work. It's like Jungle to Jungle. It's that kind of, like... Or Hook. Yeah, all of them were the same thing. It's a dad too busy to spend time with their kids because they're being the big boss man or whatever. But like, there's a lot of it seems like it's more sort of like a light-hearted Arnie action movie than it is just like a kids movie that Arnie's in.
Yeah,
because like someone like he uppercuts a reindeer and knocks it out. Someone gets tased in the bollocks. He has a massive fight in like a room full of Santas and punches a fucking little person, someone on his shoulders, and they get smacked off and like fly across the room. Sinbad is like going like way to like kids on the street, like dressed as Demento or whatever his name is. There's a load of violence in it, and then it's sort of like, but it doesn't matter because I got the doll. Capitalism, hooray! It's so good.
Plus you got the neighbour trying to sleep with his wife.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you got Phil Hartman trying to bang his missus constantly. Also, that guy's got like women, like all the sort of the mums of the area, like fawning all over him.
Why?
Clearly, this guy's a man who's no, for a very good reason. He's like Mr. 90s dad. Like he can cook and he can bake and he's handy and his kid loves him and he does everything for his kid and he's the best dad. So obviously, all the mums are like, "Oh, I wish you were not a shit husband like my shit husband."
I wish he wasn't a big fucking bodybuilding bastard.
But there's a great line as well, like when he breaks into like Arnie breaks into Phil Hartman's house and tries to steal the Turbo Man that he bought for his son. And then as he's leaving, he's like, "Oh, what the fuck am I doing?" And like he ends up like setting half his living room on fire. And as Phil Hartman walks out after his wife's just like, "So you're stealing kids' presents now? Like, what the fuck are you doing anymore?" And he just turns around and goes, "You can't bench press your way out of this one," and then storms out. And I was like, "Oh, what a great line!"
See, I don't dislike the movie, but it's never been like. I don't.
He gets beaten in a ball pit by a bunch of mums calling him a pervert. It's amazing.
It's got some funny bits in it, but
right.
It's not my top 5. Like it wouldn't be on my top 5 Christmas movies. Which leads me to a movie that you haven't watched, and you didn't watch it last year, and then it went past Christmas, so you said you're not going to watch it. And that's Spirited. Ryan Reynolds and Will Ferrell.
Spirited? I don't recognise that.
Yeah, it was. I think it was Apple TV. But I watched it at Christmas, and I was like, "It's genuinely real fucking. It's a very good film." And then you were like, "Yeah, I'll give it a go." And then it was like past New Year, and I was like, "Did you watch it?" You're like, "Nah," and it's not Christmas now, so I'm not going to.
I don't remember that, but so, remind me.
Get that watched. It's very funny.
Remind me, and I will do. Sure.
But I really like that. Klaus, I fucking love Klaus. That's
just popped back up on Netflix. I saw that pop up the other day. Yeah.
I like the Grinch, but not necessarily because it's a good movie.
The animated Grinch or the Jim Carrey Grinch?
No, I would say the Jim Carrey one, but I actually watched the animated one with Doctor Strange, Benedict Cumberbatch. I watched the animated one last year, and I was like, it's actually pretty good. It's all right. Yeah. So I'll probably watch that this year as well. Rise of the Guardians, which isn't specifically a Christmas movie, but it's got Santa in it. So I like that.
Isn't that with the fairies or elves or whatever it is?
Yeah, it's Jack Frost, Tooth Fairy, Easter Bunny, which is Hugh Jackman. Alec Baldwin is this big Russian Santa, but he's
Fat Man. I need to watch that.
Fat Man as well. And, that's on the list.
And Violent Night.
Violent
I need to
Night.
Watch that.
That's on the list. There's my top. Well, I mean, I've gone over 5, but yeah, there's my top 5-ish movies just there. But yeah, Alec Baldwin, Santa, and because he's like this big fucking muscly Russian wrestler person, the naughty list of tattoos on his arms. So like his left one, I don't know what order, but left arm's the naughty list, right arm's the good list.
Right, okay.
It's a good film. I like it. But yeah, it's Jingle All the Way is. I think it's because I was made to watch it as a kid, and it was if it wasn't a cartoon, I didn't like it. That's how I was when I was younger, and that's how I'll watch it if it's on. I will watch it, but I wouldn't go to the cinema to watch it. But it's got some funny bits. I probably appreciate it more now, to be honest.
They have a bomb scare. He openly threatens a bomb in a radio station and threatens the police with a bomb, and they didn't shoot him immediately. You couldn't do that in a modern.
No, you
if you pull out and go, "Oh, this is a bomb," they just shoot him instantly.
Yeah, I might swap something out this year and watch that instead. I'll go Rise of the Guardians because it isn't a Christmas film, so that's out. Yeah. That's out. I'm gonna watch Jingle All the Way.
Fair enough.
Maybe now as well. Logan might actually watch something like that now.
Well, it's very commercialized, so it's like. Funnily enough, considering it's about Turbo Man, it's about trying to find a Turbo Man doll or whatever. Even though the doll itself, it's just a big doll, and it's sort of like it just moves its arms and
it's not exactly Buzz Lightyear.
Exactly, yeah. I don't know if after that film came out, if they released a range of Turbo Man toys.
I was literally about to ask that question. Did they
like
ever,
a tie-in
make it?
for...
Let's have a look.
I hope that instead of
Turbo
it's
Man.
like your Turbo Man, it's Arnold Schwarzenegger like at his desk, like at his carpet company or mattress company, whatever it is.
The Entertainer actually sells them.
Turbo Mans.
Turbo Man's $34.99.
Do they sell boosters?
I don't know. It just says Jingle All the Way, Turbo Man action figure, UK exclusive.
Because we're the only people. Maybe it's because I'm the only person who likes Jingle All the Way. So they've bought a range of toys out just for me.
Well, you can get a 13.5-inch tall talking Turbo Man action figure. Yeah.
I would only be interested in that if it only shouted the one-liners that Arnie says during the film rather than any of the Turbo Man stuff.
Oh, do you know who makes it? Funko.
No way. I bet the quality is actually pretty decent then, if that's the case.
It's basically, it looks like the box on that from the film.
Yeah.
So the toy looks as shit as it does in the film.
No, but that's the thing. I'd rather it be the Arnie, like when he's got the suit on.
No, it's
that.
Not. It's the toy, basically. So it's very well.
Yeah.
It looks like it's very well made in terms of replica, but again, it's not like when you had a Buzz Lightyear and it was like, this is better than the movie one because it's a real toy. But yeah, it's not $34.99. I'll tell you that much.
No, not currently. No.
But no, I don't know if I've got anything else, Dan.
What have I said at the end of every podcast for the last couple of weeks?
Bye.
No, talk about the store, Callum. We've just revamped the store.
No, I meant story.
The website is...
Story-wise, I mean. Have you got
this has
anything
already
else?
gone on long enough.
I suppose, yeah. We'll cut that bit out anyway. Then. So, 3, 2, 1. Anyway, before we go, Dan, just want to point out, we should have pointed out at the start of the podcast, but we have had a few technical issues. The store is fixed. The website is fixed. It's all fixed. So, essentially, for whatever reason, the website was slow as shit. Like the slowest website I've ever been on in the history of the internet. That is all fixed. We've gone through the store. We've had a big clear out of the store, actually. Kind of like when you go through like your wardrobe and you're just getting rid of old clothes and stuff.
Yeah.
Although, just speaking of, I saw a picture yesterday of somebody dressed up as like Raimi Spider-Man, but after he's been blown up and stuff and it's all ripped and everything else. But it said, my pair of boxers I've had for over 5 years, watching me spend £2,000 on a telly, £5,000 on a new car.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think I've got underwear from that's older than Logan.
Yeah, I think I probably do as well, to be fair. If it ain't broke, don't replace it.
Well, that's the thing. Like most of them, they still fit, and some are just backup ones that the elastic's gone a bit, so they're a bit big, but they're still good. Still good.
Yeah, that'll help with Christmas dinner when you put a few on.
Exactly. You never know when you'll need big pants. But but yeah, so we've had a big clear out, and we've fixed. There was a problem with the t-shirts primarily, where the design was like basically on the stomach for whatever reason. But if you bought the t-shirt, that's where it would be printed. So that's all been fixed. Every single design has been fixed, and we are going to be redoing some of the favourites that we've kept. But we think they could be updated and made a little bit better. So we're doing that as well as new things. Speaking of new things, Dan, there's a new review that's gone up just yesterday.
Indeed, there is.
For the Fifine AM8T dynamic microphone. And spoiler alert, it's pretty fucking good. So go and give that a watch. If you want to read it, it's on the website, podcastversusplayer.com/review. The video is also on there, but it's also on YouTube at youtube.com/podcastversusplayer. It's all going along the bottom of the screen as usual. Dan! Thank you for joining, and I'll speak to you before then, but no one else will know that. So Merry Christmas.
And to you. Have a great Christmas. Have lots of turkey and chocolates and brandy and whatever it is that people do over Christmas. And we're actually, just speaking of before we go, we both got access to the closed beta for Skull and Bones, the new Ubisoft game. So we did a video on that last week. And that will also be going up hopefully before Christmas as well. So that's something else you can check out.
Already up.
But, is it?
It's already up, yeah. It went up before we did this podcast.
Probably should have checked that before I said it then. But either way, then there's a new video that's up there as well as the review, so you can go and have a look at that. And we will be probably back in the new year. You need to tell Zoe that she's missed the last 2 or 3 years. We're doing an end of year quiz. So you need to tell us to pull a fucking finger out.
But it might be before the end of the year, because what day's Christmas on? What day's New Year, sorry?
Like Thursday, Friday?
No, it's a Sunday. 31st is on a Sunday.
Sorry, I thought it's the Saturday. I thought because Christmas has fallen on like a Saturday or Sunday for the last few years. In my brain, it always falls on Saturday. No, it's the following Monday.
That's New Year's Day. No, New Year's Day. I mean, like that's on the Monday, so the end of the year is on the Sunday.
Sure.
So what I'm saying is we need to work it around fireworks. So it'll either be just before the end of the year or just after the start.
She needs to
year.
do it for a start, because I don't believe for a second that she's sat on 2 quizzes or whatever for the last 2 years and that we never got round to. Is that she could be bothered. So Zoe, this is a message directly to you. Sort it.
I could put one together just like that, Dan.
No.
But I'm not
That's Zoe's job. She's only got one fucking job these days, and it's to do these quizzes. And it's a pathetic attempt so far.
What if the end of the year quiz is 2 years old? Do you reckon you'll know any of the answers?
I won't know anything about this year, let alone what happened 2 years ago, so it makes no difference. You could sneak a few in there and I wouldn't know.
She might do, I don't know. But no, we definitely will do one. I'm going to say this.
Excellent.
I'm going to say this year, but it might be in the new year.
It might go up next year.
Yeah. So, but we definitely do want to make sure that she gets one done. Because I miss it.
Excellent.
I miss it. But yeah, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to all of you. Thank you for the watching the videos, looking at the reviews, buying stuff off the store. Whatever you've done to help, thank you. If you haven't done anything, fuck you. But
there's plenty of time to fix that in 2024, the year of do.
The year of do.
And if you're not celebrating Christmas for any particular reason, then I hope that at least you get some time off work. Yeah. So enjoy a little bit of a break. If not, happy Monday, yes. I guess, because that's all it'll be to you. So either way, have a great time.
Yep, enjoy. And we'll see you all on the next one. Bye.